All right, guys, today we're starting with a little more practice with simplifying radicals with variables. So putting together what we did yesterday, both parts. So if we look at number 1, we're going to start with our number and do the factor tree here. So what goes into 32? Let's just say, because it's an even number, I'm going to divide it by 2 to give me 16 and 2. Okay, 2 is done. If you remember that 16 is a perfect square, okay, so the square root of 16 is 4, so I would get 4 square root of 2 for my number. Now looking at my variables, I have 3 a's, looking for a group of 2. There it is. So I would pull out 1a and leave 1 left on the inside, okay, and that would be your final answer, 4a square root of 2a. If you don't understand why the 4 comes out, that is because of 4 times 4 gives me 16. It's a perfect square, so there's my group of 2 that I'm pulling out. All right. Number 2, I have 27. So 27 breaks down into 9 and 3. 3 is done. 9 is a perfect square, okay? I have another group of 3. There's my pair that I'm pulling out, okay? So I would get 3 square root of 3. I have p cubed, so 3 p's. There's a pair that I'm pulling out, and I have 1 left over. 3p square root of 3p. Let me go ahead and write all your perfect squares up here. So 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, and 144. Okay, number 3. This is the 4th root now, so we're looking for groups of 4. Okay, let's start with our 80 and do our factor tree. Well, an easy one to multiply is to give us 80. Could be 8 and 10. You could also do 2 and 40. Okay, so 8 gives me 4 and 2. 4 gives me 2 and 2. 10 gives me 5 and 2. Okay, you can see that you have a group of 2's right here, and then you also have 2 more, so there's a total of 4 2's, and I have a 5 left over, so I'm pulling out a group of 2's, and I'll have the 4th root of 5 left on the inside. Then I have 8 p's. Okay, you don't necessarily have to write out the variables every single time. If you understand that there are 2 groups of 4 and 8, okay, so 8 divided by 4 gives you 2. That's how many groups of p you're pulling out. So that would be p squared on the outside, and that would be your final answer right there. Okay. All right, number 4, we have the cube root of negative 250 p to the 6th power. Well, the first thing you should notice is that it has a negative here. If we recall what that negative means, that tells me I'm going to have an I in my answer, okay? Once we look at that, we're going to break down our 250 to, let's just do 25 and 10. 25 breaks down into 5 and 5. Here's a group. 10 breaks down into 5 and 2. Since I'm looking for groups of 3 right there, there's a group of 3 that I have, and I'm going to leave that 2 on the inside, okay? So it would be 5i cube root of 2. And then I have p to the 6, okay? How many groups of 3 are in 6? Well, there are 2, so I'm pulling out a p squared as well. So 5i p squared. That's your final answer, cube root of 2. Okay, moving on to number 5, cube root of 256 b squared. So 256, it's an even number, so we'll just start with a small one. You can know that you do 2 that goes into it, 4 also goes into it. I'm going to do 4 just because it's a little smaller number. So 4 times 64. 4 breaks down into 2 and 2. 64 breaks down into 8 and 8. Which they both break down into 4 and 2. And my 4s break down to even more 2s. So let's see how many 2s we have here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I have 8 2s, how many groups of 3 can I pull out? Well, there is one group of 3. There's another group of 3 of 2s. And I have 2 left over. So if I'm pulling out 2 groups, that gives me a group and that gives me a group. I need to multiply the 2. So 2 times 2 will give me 4. I have 2 left over that I'm leaving on the inside to also give me 4. And you see you have a b squared in there. Well, I'm looking for groups of 3 because it's a cube root. I don't have enough to give me a group of 3, so I would just leave the b squared on the inside to give me 4 cube root of 4b squared. Okay. Moving on to number 6. I have the square root of 128 and x squared. 128, we can break it down with 2 because it's an even number. So 128 divided by 2 would give me 64. 64 is just going to look like it does over here. 8 and 8. 4 and 2. And then 2 and 2. Okay, it's a square root, so I'm looking for groups of 2. There's 1. There's another one. And there's another one. And I have this loner left up here. Okay, so I am pulling out 1, 2, 3 groups of 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 would give me 8 on the outside. Okay, with my square root of 2 left on the inside. I have an x squared here. So how many groups of 2 do I have in x squared? I have 1. So I'm pulling out just 1x, 8x, square root of 2. And there's your final answer. All right, number 7, I have the cube root of 135, x cubed y to the 6th. So 135, I know is divisible by 5. So 27 and 5. 27 breaks down into 9 and 3. 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. Looking for groups of 3 because it is a cube root. I have 1 right here with my 5 left over. So I would get 3 cube root of 5 right now. And I have x cubed. Well, how many groups of 3 do I have in x cubed? 1, so I'm pulling that out. And then I have y to the 6th. Well, how many groups of 3 do I have in 6? I have 2, so y squared. Let me write that out a little better for you. Okay, if you need to write your variables out, please do that. There's my 1 group for my x's and my 2 groups for y's. Okay, so your final answer here, 3x y squared cube root of 5. All right, number 8, I have the cube root of 384 x to the 8th, y to the 3rd, looking for groups of 3. Okay, 384, I know is an even number, which goes into 192. Okay, you can try to find bigger numbers that go into 184, or you can just keep dividing everything by 2. So I know that 192 also goes into 2 by 96. 96 is also an even number to divide by 2, so 48 and 2. 48 breaks down into 24 and 2. 24 breaks down into 12 and 2. 12 breaks down into 6 and 2. And 6 breaks down into 3 and 2. And then we are done with it there. So I'm looking up groups for 3. Okay, it's a cube root. So there is 1 right here. There's 1 right here. And then I have 2 and 3 left over. These are my 2 sad, lonely ones that don't have any friends to come out and play. So here is a group of 3 here. And there's a group here. So 2 times 2 will give me 4 on the outside. I'll have the cube root of 3 times 2 on the inside to give me 6. And then I have x to the 8th, okay? Looking for groups of 3. So how many groups of 3 do I have in 8? Okay, if you understand, there are 2 groups of 3 and 8. 1 here, 1 here. So pulling out x squared. I also have 2 x's left on the inside to give me x squared on the inside as well. I have y cubed. I have 1 group of 3 in that, so my final answer would be 4x squared y, the cube root of 6x squared. Okay. Any questions? Let me know. Otherwise, complete your assignment and have a great day.